Let's do site sketches and page flow, beginning with a competitive analysis. This is our first exercise in the series that we'll do in order to create an entire application based around events. What's the point of this activity? It's to get a high-level idea of what other people are doing to create event sites, and also to design or begin to design your own event site. Here are the steps. We're going to begin with a competitive analysis. We're going to then sketch the flow, the way that a website works for one of your competitors, and then you're going to sketch your own flow. You're going to create the pages and the flow that will design your own website. What I'd like you to do is begin by downloading the template file for this activity. Follow the instructions exactly as they are in G-Class, so you'll want to have G-Class open. And then when you're finished, you'll put a lot of information into the file that you've downloaded, and then you'll upload it again to your website on the UW server, and then your TA will evaluate it from there. Let's begin with a class exercise. Brainstorm around the class on different sites that you can go to figure out what you might do tonight. And then as you're brainstorming through those sites, figure out two that you might like to use in order to do your own competitive analysis. Step 1, do a competitive analysis. Take two of the sites that you've found and work through them. Figure out how they work. Let me show you what I found. Here's a site called What's on Dublin. On the What's on Dublin site, you start from this home page that has this look and feel. It has categories on one side. In the middle, it has a bunch of icons that are also for the categories. And on the right-hand side, it allows you to pick a date and to choose a location that you might want to get your events for. When I click on one of the icons, I go to a screen that looks like this. Notice it continues to have the categories, the date, and the locations on the outside, but then in the middle it gives you a results list, a list of events, a list of things that you might want to do this evening. If I click on one of those events, and notice, by the way, in this page, that each of the events is sort of a summary. It's a partial view of all the information that's shown about one event. If I click on an event, I go to a page that looks like this. It's the details of one event. Notice again that the context, the surrounds, the categories, the date, and the location are all constant on the screen, and in the middle we have the details of one event. Now go find some of your own competitors and find at least this many screenshots of your competitors. A home page where you begin a search, a results page where you get some information back about your search for an event, and then an event details page where you finally see the full view or the full details of one event. Step 2, sketch one competitor's flow. I've given you the flow for What's on Dublin, and here's my sketch of what the What's on Dublin flow looks like. Notice that I've done it on a piece of paper with a pencil. No need to use any fancy tools for this. In fact, using a piece of paper is a lot easier because it allows you to easily change your work, rip up the piece of paper, start again. But you can see the same three screens here, and you can see how on the category page, I click on an icon that takes me to an event list page or an event partial view page. I click on an event in the partial view page, and then I go to the event details page. Notice also that this is a sketch. I've left out a lot of detail, but I have put in the major things that are on each page. The major areas of the screen are all listed and labeled on each of these pages, and then inside the event detail page, I've given you some idea of the kind of information that's on that details page. Step 3, sketch your own flow. So now you've taken a look at a couple of competitive sites. You've sketched out the flow of one of your competitor sites. Now it's time for you to sketch out your own flow. You can see here the flow that I've sketched out for my site. It's not so different from the flow of the competitor site, but I have made some modifications. In my site, I'm going to have categories, and I'm going to have featured events right there on the home page. I'm expecting you to click on one of those featured events, and when you click on the features events, you'll go directly to an event detail page. I'm bypassing that middle results page, and I'll have an alphabetical list of events on one side, and in the major part of the page, I'll have the details of one event. Now notice I haven't really figured out which details I'll use yet. I'll do that in a later exercise. But I expect that someone's going to click on the alphabetical list of events, and go to another event that looks just like the one previous, only it's a different event in that large part of the page. So that's my proposed flow. Yours should be different. You should think very hard about what your competitors are doing, what you'd want to do, and sketch your own page flow. Finally, I'm going to sketch in a little bit more detail two of the main pages that'll be on my site, a home page and a details page. Now, I've already have a small view of the home page and the details page in my page flow, but now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. You'll see on my home page here that I have the categories. I've also added a date and a location because I believe the user should be able to specify a date and a location. But instead of taking up so much room like it did on my competitors page, I'm going to make them small and at the top of the page. And then I'm going to have little boxes, little vignettes, little partial views of featured events. I expect you to click on a featured event, and when you do, you'll go to the event details page. Notice that it's similar to my page flow, but it has a little bit more detail than the page flow. In particular, I have that alphabetical list of events on one side, and I have the event detail. And now I've gone a little bit further to try and tell you exactly what I'm going to, or what I want to have in the event detail page. Step 5, do a smoke test. In electronics, a smoke test is where you first turn on your device and you see if it smokes. In other words, if you got it basically right, if it burns up or if it turns on and seems to function. I want you to do the same thing for your design. I want you to make believe you didn't just create this design, but you're someone else looking at the design. Have an idea, put an idea in your head about what it's going to really look like when it's all done, and imagine to yourself using it. When you use it, does it feel right? Does it seem correct? This is your first chance to take a look at your design and figure out, do I want to do something different with that design? And now it's certainly not too late to change it. Rip up your piece of paper. It only took you a minute or two to sketch out your design. If you want to have a different design at this point, rip up your old design and sketch out a new one. Keep sketching out those designs until you yourself are comfortable with it. In the next exercise, you're going to test your design with one of your users. In this exercise, you simply just came up with the design. You looked at a couple of competitors, you sketched out what the competitors were doing, then you sketched out what you want to do. Finally, you're thinking to yourself, is this right? Is this what I want? And if it's not, you're going to rip it up and start again. All right, we'll see you in the next exercise.